out. And so I don't know who wants to kick it off. Zach?
I'll go ahead and start us off. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Izzy Estrada. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am IHC's Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. And I'm really glad to see y'all here today.
Yes, my name's Janine. I'm the Vice President of Outreach. I kind of just do all like the communications aspects. And yeah, how about you go, Sam?
Hey y'all, my name's Sam Kazimirovich. I go by he, him pronouns. And I'm the Vice President of Administration for the Executive Board. So I'll be helping you with getting things done like writing proposals and, reading through boring emails. But if they're from you, they're probably not boring. I guess Marley, you can go.
All right. Hi, guys. I'm a Wooloo. My name is Marley Timmerman. I am the Vice President of Programming that doesn't currently have a camera. So you just have to deal with the Wooloo for now, but I hope you'll enjoy it. I am in charge of programming, especially the programming board for IHC. I plan events and I have a good time. Everyone has a good time.
Yeah, as Marley said, she's the head of the programming board, and this year we're doing something special and different where we're separating the advocacy board and a programming board. Advocacy board, which is this info session, is basically if you want to make changes to where you live or like just advocate for students and for like the needs, you basically just talk to us and like yeah. And programming board will deal with more of like events and like events you want to hold and like any ideas you have can go to Marley. Do you want to tell us a little more about advocacy board, Izzy?
Sure. Just to be clear, there will be a separate info session for programming board. So if you are more interested in, just fun event planning, that will be led by Marley. So just go to her if you have any questions about that. Advocacy board, like Janine said, is really a student-run space where elected representatives from each community, community as in, residence hall, will come to represent all of their own residents and just advocate for the needs of, their residents, the people that they know that they're living with. And I think what makes, advocacy board very unique is, again, it's a student-run space. So, even though we have people from upper housing and people like Shauna, the older adults who do more adult things than the college students do, even though all those people in administration are present, it is very much led by the students and, what are their needs and just, whatever you feel like you need in your community that isn't there, you can reach out to facilities if you feel like the facilities in your dorms are just not working for your residents, and we're just here to help you connect to whatever resources you need to make sure that your on-campus housing experience is going well. Sam, is there anything you would like to add about advocacy board?
I mean, I think I'll just add that I personally joined because just the idea of leadership and, being able to do something was interesting. And by the end of the year, I felt that I was able to do something and I was kind of a leader and I was kind of, getting things done in my dorm. And kind of the hope of this is to show you that, you can do it. Sorry, I haven't had my coffee. But it is kind of to show that it is easy to do something. It isn't this huge thing to see something you don't like in your dorm and not being able to fix it. And then something I do want to add is if you're here, I'm going to put a link in chat, and I hope that all of you fill it out. It's just kind of get your email, your name, and so we can email you with updates.
Yeah, just like Sam said, I like to think of advocacy board as like taking down the barrier between students and the upper housing. Like Joe gives like not speeches, but like presentations on what's going on. Also, just to give an example of what we're kind of working on right now at the beginning of the year, we're trying to write a proposal to give water access to Yakitutu dorms, because right now they don't really have easy access, and like that's the kind of change that people in advocacy board are trying to make. And Sam could also help you with like making proposals of your own. Marley, did you want to say anything about advocacy board?
I mean, you guys are too good. I'm like falling behind here. But basically, I also just wanted to add that you might, even if you're afraid to join, advocacy board is a space that you don't need to be afraid to join. If you look at all of us, we're pretty much enjoying what we're doing. We're not like super stressed. We don't have to fill out paperwork every single week, and we don't have to, it's not like it's not a very stressful and time-consuming endeavor. It's something that if you want your voice to get heard, you can go and have your voice heard. And then if you're too drowned in classes, you can easily just ask a friend, ask someone else on advocacy board to take over things that maybe you're in charge of. You wouldn't even need to. I mean, what I'm trying to say is that if you ever become too stressed, or if you ever become too busy with things, advocacy board shouldn't be another thing to add to that stress. So definitely go out, run for advocacy board, try to get your voice heard. If you really would like to have a voice in a lot of the tough decision making that we do. I know that last year we had to approve the budget. That was one of the biggest things that advocacy board did last year. And we also have a lot of issues that we tackle and discuss. So definitely join if you are interested in any of the following thing or any of the prior things that were said. And do not feel that it will be an entire full-time 9-to-5 job that you're applying for.
Yeah, great things to say, Marley. I also mentioned Joe Campbell, I believe, in my previous statements, and getting to work with people at the top of university housing is really just kind of like a great unfathomable thing that I had the opportunity to do last year. She's literally like, Shauna calls her the big cheese of university housing because she's like the top person. She's the person on the pamphlets if you like look through those. And yeah, she loves IHC and listening to students and what we want. And so yeah, that's just the kind of people and heavy hitters you get to work with if you join advocacy board. And starting to run for advocacy board isn't very hard. If you look at our link tree on Instagram, the application and more information is just on there. And also Sam posted the link to register anyway in our chat. Yeah. Does anybody else have anything to say?
Oh, Shauna posted the link to register. I just made a tiny thing to get people's emails.
Yes.
Thanks, team. Appreciate it. Yeah, and so do you want to share a little bit about what campaigning looks like? Say they are interested in registering, they do so. What comes next?
Right. So given the virtual quarter and everything around COVID, I feel like for last year when I campaigned, a lot of that was already on my social media. You know, anyone who was in my dorm that was following me on Instagram saw like my little like graphic, like, yeah, vote for me. Or because we were in person, I did do more of like I did spread the word, just, you know, going around my dorm and saying like, hey, I'm running as an IHC senator. Elections are this day, this time. Vote for me, please. But yeah, I feel like with the virtual format, you can easily, you know, use Instagram, Snapchat, whatever social media platform that you have, to, you know, reach out to people that you're living with, and that way they can vote for you and see what your campaign is all about. There are some guidelines, as you can see here. You can't spend more than $20, if any money at all, on your campaign. That's kind of a big thing. And if you do spend any money, make sure that you keep those receipts and submit them. That way we can make sure everything is in order. And you would submit that to Sam, who is our VPA. And also, but I personally, I don't think that you would need to spend any money on your campaign. I think, you know, the great thing about this virtual environment is that it's easy to reach people online, and, you know, you don't have to spend any money on materials, hopefully.
And something I'll just add is, you know, my campaign was a little bit more simple than Izzy's. You know, I just went around to people in the dorm and introduced myself. You know, the second floor all knew me, but I guess y'all are gonna have to be more creative this year with campaigning. But you know what? That's the 21st century challenge that y'all are up to, not me. I still just downloaded this Instagram thing. It's pretty cool, but I think you guys are a little more handy with that.
Yes, and don't feel too stressed about campaigning. There are quite a bit of spots. There's like 6 to 7 in every like freshman housing, and so don't feel too stressed. If you get like some votes, I'm like sure that it'll all work out. Personally, I used it as an excuse to post cute pictures last year. So yeah, and these guidelines will all be posted online, so don't like feel too stressed. This should be an easy experience for you. And if you're excited to join, then you'll participate, like, most likely.
To add on top of that, when I joined, it was actually after elections last year, where I just last minute, like it was at the election, or at like the election announcement, and I decided like, hey, I want to join. I want to be part of that. So I walked up and I asked someone like, hey, can I join? Can I be part of that thing? And they're like, oh, sure. Just send in like a reason why you want to join. So I just emailed them like, hey, I want to join because it seems cool. And then they're like, wow, you're amazing. Join us. So there's ways to participate. The election is probably the easiest. After the fact, I bet you there's going to be plenty of ways to join or get into the system. Your freshman, you live in PCV. Of course, you're able to be part of IHC. You're the year that you are, whether it be freshman, senior, whether it be 6 years in the program, you're definitely able to join in the system. You can be part of IHC. It'll be a great time, believe me.
Yeah, to add to that, yes, of course, if you are in PCV, please join IHC. You know, we don't usually get a lot of continuing students, because that's usually what PCP houses. Obviously, it's very different this year since the dorms population is a lot smaller. But yeah, I highly encourage, if you're in PCV, to, you know, give your residents a voice, especially since it does seem like a lot more people will be living there on campus this year, more in like that first year in transfer realm. And yeah, definitely join.
To add to that, I would say you should join even more so, because there are over 1,000 people living in Poly Canyon Village, and it's a unique experience that not everybody in that we know about, because we lived in the freshman dorms last year. We don't know everything there is. So any input that you can have from living in that unique situation, being a freshman in PCV, we'd love to hear it.
Also, I want to touch on the fact that this is specific, even though this is specifically for advocacy board. You can be part of both programming and advocacy board. They're not exclusive to each other. So if you are going to attend and possibly join programming board, please do not feel discouraged to avoid advocacy board like it's the plague. You can be part of advocacy board and programming board. It will be a great time. I know I'm trying to plug that a lot, but believe me, it will be a great time.
Great. Thanks so much, team. So I just thought people might be a little curious about how many people are living in their communities with them, how many representatives we're looking for. We can have unlimited amount of community representatives, but there is a limited amount of senators, or what we like to think of as our voting members on advocacy board. So yeah, I thought you may want to share a little bit about when we meet, what happens at those meetings. I know you all have touched on it a little bit already, and then what exactly they would be doing if they were to serve on the board.
Yes, Shauna. So our meetings are during poly hour on Thursdays, which is 11 a.m. to 12. During those meetings, we have like a business hours where you can bring up any concerns that you have during the first like 15 to 30 minutes about your like residential area. And then a lot of the times we have guest speakers from various like clubs, maybe even, as I mentioned, Joe, who will tell us about like ideas they have. And sometimes there's like proposals we have to vote on that you can also submit yourself about changes you want to make, and you can discuss it, get other people's voices, see if it's the right direction to go. And yeah, does anybody else have something to say?
Well, I guess I can. Oh, is he? Would you like to follow up on senator position, duties, and responsibilities? Because I see you've unmuted.
Yes, I just wanted to throw in, I was a senator last year for Sierra Madre, and go Towers. I don't know if anyone from the Towers is in here, but yeah, I feel like something that, really makes advocacy board really unique is that in addition to advocating for residents about their like physical living situation, you can also advocate on behalf of maybe any social issues that are currently going on campus, anything that you notice. You definitely can contribute to that. I know, with everything that's been going on with COVID and BLM and the upcoming election, there's just a lot for incoming students, both first years and transfers and for all college students to be really paying attention to right now. And so I think that, advocacy board definitely gives students a space for advocating for on behalf of those social issues for their residents. And, I think that's just something that's really unique. Obviously, we also have ASI and they do a little bit of that, but I think what makes IHC's advocacy board so great is that because it's in a smaller environment, it's not too intimidating to bring up those harder questions and those more complicated issues if you feel like they really are impacting your residents.
Thank you, Izzy, for sharing your experience. Can you all share a little bit about the difference between being a senator and being a community rep?
Yeah, sure. So as a senator, your job is a big part of your job is attending advocacy board and kind of being the link between advocacy board and your dorm. As senator, your job is to attend and vote on advocacy board items, as well as in your residence halls, you're kind of serving as like a role model, and you're kind of working with your CSDs and RAs to help make the hall a better place. When I say better place, I mean kind of worked for things that make housing easier for your RAs and the housing team, and bringing those issues, if they're big enough, to advocacy board. While for a community rep, community reps are not elected, while senator positions are. That's a big difference. But community rep positions are anyone who would like to join, and it's anyone who's interested in having kind of less responsibility with still supporting the housing environment they're in. So community reps will help with setting up and putting on events in your dorm. That'll be an interesting challenge this quarter and maybe next, but we'll see. As well as kind of figuring out what the people want. For example, something a rep might do is, maybe your kitchen wants a toaster oven. The red brick next to you has a toaster oven, but you don't, and you're really jealous. Well, you can do plenty of things. One of the things you can do is just talk to your CSD and ask about it, and kind of collect opinions from the people in the dorm, and bring that to either advocacy board to say, hey, can we pay for a toaster oven? Maybe it's a really expensive toaster oven, you have to bring it to advocacy board, or maybe you just bring it to your CSD, who is, I'm using that word a lot. CSD is your, if you don't know, is your coordinator of student development. They're kind of like head honcho RA, but they're really nice. Always talk to them. I've never met a bad CSD. And kind of just, yeah, also serving as a positive role model. Just because you're not elected doesn't mean people won't look up to you for being cool and joining community rep. And if anybody else wants to cover stuff that I didn't cover in my almost rant, feel free.
Yeah, back to, I think that's another thing that's really great about IHC is, it'll help you connect to just other people in housing. And, those connections are really important because, especially when you are maybe needing a letter of recommendation or anything like that in the future for, maybe applying for internships or just help with that. CSDs are very knowledgeable. They have so much experience. I was able to really connect with my own CSD through IHC, and she really helped me a lot in I was deciding to change my major, or trying to decide on a career path. And CSDs really offer a lot more, like they offer that extra level of wisdom, but they're not too intimidating in that they're still younger and they understand what it's like to be you, because they themselves are college students living in dorms. And so they understand what you're going through to some extent, and they're very helpful people to be connected to.
Yeah, and I can just share from my own experience. Like I used to be a CSD, and I did that role for a few years, and I loved working and getting to know members that served on Interhousing Council. They were just such a highlight of my position, and it was really fun getting to know them. And it's awesome, getting to be a positive reference when they apply for jobs, or helping them get that whatever they need in order to go into their next leadership position. Like I've worked with folks who are now working in ASI, and it's really cool just to see their growth from when they first get here, and just to where they can go. And one of my hopes is that I can help IHC folks get to where they want to be next. And also it's fun. You meet so many fun people in IHC, and some of the most fun I've had working with students has been through folks I've met in IHC. From like a staff perspective, if you're curious. And then I also just wanted to highlight that execs have did an awesome job clarifying the difference between senators and community reps. I would say probably the biggest thing to note is that as a senator, you have voting rights, so that you're able to vote on initiatives that come through the board, whereas community representatives would abstain from voting. And so the rules are very similar. That's probably the biggest difference, is that community representatives, again, abstain from voting, where senators are the ones that actually vote. And that's just because similar to like the Senate in the country, you have so many like representatives, or I guess that would be the House of Representatives. You only have so many representatives from your community. And so it's just to keep voting rights equitable across the board. Yeah, thanks team. So I'm going to pull up just some information about kind of next steps. Like Sam said, feel free to put your information in that form that he created, and we'll send you a follow-up email just with additional information. But just before we wrap up today, I wonder if the team wants to speak a little bit to what elections look like, and talk a little bit about the IHC retreat.
Yeah, the elections will be, I believe people vote from their Cal Poly emails. It's like on there.
Yeah, you'll get a follow-up email. All residents will be emailed instructions on how to vote.
Yeah, and just after the election, it's going to be within the next like couple weeks. I believe the voting is on Monday. And then afterwards, if you're elected or you're a community representative, we go on the IHC retreat that we host, where you'll learn more about like what you do, how to write a proposal, and how to do all the things that we mentioned. And yeah, it's just a great learning experience and a way to bond with your fellow senators.
In addition to that, yeah, the IHC retreat, it will take place on the weekend. You won't have to worry about missing any classes, and it will be all virtual this year. And I feel like one really good thing for the IHC retreat is that, we do go over some aspects of, we kind of like get you started with, how are you going to plan events for your dorm, and, how to properly advocate for your residents. And there will be, some, education on how to make sure you're inclusive, both in, when you're speaking for your residents' needs, and also for, addressing accessibility and things like that for your events. Obviously, with everything online, there is going to be like a very different format for event planning, but yeah, don't worry, once you're elected, we're not going to just throw you into the fire. The IHC retreat is really to help get you started in IHC and what kind of work you'll be able to do.
Something to add is we have a lot planned for IHC. You get cool stuff. When I say get cool stuff, I still have my IHC shirt. It's really cool. But also just, it's a great combination of fun and learning about things that could be quite interesting. Like, you've probably had a lot of discussions about identity and things that involve just diversity and inclusion. But I feel that my favorite, at least last year, was from the IHC retreat. And not only the most personal, but the most relevant, and the one I felt like I could do the most with. But also there are other interesting stuff, like if you're interested in programming, we're going to have interesting programming lecture. And then again, like, be aware of fun stuff, because, we're not going to keep you for a whole day and not give you fun stuff. That's, what do you call it? Kind of torture, but, definitely a fun experience, and almost as fun as actually being part of IHC.
Well, thanks, team. Well, I think we can open up. We've got probably time for a few questions. If anyone has any questions they'd like to pose for the execs, I can moderate if you want to throw them in the chat. Otherwise, thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you on the election ballot.
Could I ask a question just like verbally?
Yeah, go for it. I'm used to doing webinars, so yeah, feel free to verbalize it.
Okay. Well, my question is would I be able to join after this quarter? Because I'm living off campus right now, but I'm moving in the winter. So I'm wondering if I would be able to like join after that.
So things are currently evolving a lot and changing a lot. And a lot of decisions have to be made. One of the decisions we did make for this quarter was that we wanted people on campus this quarter to be part of IHC, just because it was a hard decision, but just because they'll be representing the campus, and if we're going to have elections at this time of the year, then they should be representing. They should be on campus and representing campus the whole year. Now, I say that, but if things change, we have your email. We'll definitely let everyone know, but you'll be, first on that list. If things change and people are forced to be sent home, things can change. But for right now, unfortunately, no. But you can always be a community representative.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you can be on programming board if you've deferred, because that's an option, is that you don't need to be living on campus, because we will be holding virtual events. So even if you can't be part of advocacy board this quarter, you can look towards doing advocacy board another quarter, but then you can participate in programming board for the time being. And then as soon as that opens up and you like come back and you like here for slow, here to hang out, then you can head over to Advocacy Board, and we'd love to have you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. And also
Worries.
just to clarify too, Alyssa, it sounds like you're hoping to be on on campus next quarter. And so yes, absolutely. Again, just like Sam said with the voting, it gets tricky because we are trying to save like voting positions for folks who are like living on campus because they're kind of seeing how those changes are being implemented. So that was a little bit for the rationale behind that decision. But like Sam said, like any member is welcome to come we have what's called open forum at the beginning of each advocacy board session where anyone can join and kind of tune in and maybe share like their concerns. So if you're living off campus at the moment and you have concerns about living on campus next quarter, you can come and share your concerns, or if you have questions or whatever, like come and talk to the board. That's still a possibility too if you want to be involved in advocacy board. That way you're also kind of getting to know folks who are in IHC. So the next quarter, when you join advocacy board, you kind of already know everyone. You have those relationships established. But yeah, also going back to what Marley said is that programming board, anyone can join even if they're living off campus this quarter. So anyway, thanks for your question.
Yeah, thank you for answering.
Any other questions?
I also had a question about the programming meeting. So that's on Friday, and I wanted to get information for that as well, but I have classes during that time. Is it going to be posted somewhere where I can like watch that information or?
Yeah, we're going to be recording the session, so even if you can't tune in at the time, you can just watch it afterwards. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, are we going to make it an unlisted YouTube video where you just like click the link in an email or something?
No matter what it is, it'll be on the link in our Instagram bio on the link tree there.
Okay.
You'll find it.
It exists.
Okay, thank you.
And Haley, if you want, we'll take your name down. We're going to send a follow-up email to folks who do attend that meeting on Friday. Similar how we're sending a follow-up email to this meeting, we're sending one to all the programming board folks. And it'll have a bunch of information about how to join, next steps, that'll kind of recap what we talked about. So I'll make sure that we get that info out to you as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I just wanted to go back to Alyssa. Just so you know, even though you're not on campus, you're not living on campus, we just wanted to let you know that we still do value your voice. So please, if you can, attend advocacy board for our open forum, because that is, again, open up to everybody. And we still want to hear from students who are living off campus, even though we are directly relating issues to housing. There are a lot of students who are at home right now. I, for one, am at home. And so we still do value any concerns that you may have when you do get to campus. So yeah, don't be a stranger. And yeah, you're welcome to come to advocacy board and get to know everyone.
Thank you. And thank you guys for the meeting and everything.
All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna stop recording. And then
Thanks, guys.
yeah, thanks Haley. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.